The stars were quiet, but silence in space never lasted long. On the far edge of the Milky Way, the Galactic Council gathered in their shining hall of crystal and light. They were the rulers of hundreds of worlds, a union of ancient species who claimed the right to guide weaker civilizations. They called it peace. In truth, it was control. For centuries they had moved from one young world to the next, demanding tribute. Planets paid with ships, with rare metals, and even with their own people. Resistance never lasted. Some worlds fought, but their armies were crushed. Others surrendered at once, hoping for mercy. None had ever stood against the Council and survived. Now their gaze turned to Earth. The blue planet had grown loud in recent years. Human signals stretched into space. Their machines reached for the stars. They had no great fleets, no weapons that could match galactic firepower, but they had ambition. The Council did not like ambition. Ambition grew into rebellion. Rebellion spread like fire. And so, one quiet cycle, the Council sent a message to Earth. It was not written in Earth's languages, yet every translator could understand it. The words carried power, the cold voice of authority that expected obedience. People of Earth, the message began, you have reached beyond your place. You have built ships, weapons, and engines without permission. You stand at the door of the stars. But you are not masters here. The galaxy is ruled. We are that rule. You will pay tribute. You will give resources, ships, and lives to the Council. Do this, and you may live. Refuse, and Earth will burn. The message spread quickly. Satellites caught it, governments heard it, and soon every channel whispered the same words. Humanity listened in silence. The demand was clear. There was no chance to bargain, no time to prepare. The Council expected surrender. They had grown arrogant with victory. To them, Earth was nothing more than another prize, another world to add to their empire. In the Council chamber, alien voices laughed. A scaled warlord from the Rithik worlds slammed his claws on the table. They will kneel, he hissed. They always kneel. A long-necked scholar flicked his glowing eyes. Humans are loud, violent, divided. They will fight among themselves before they fight us. A soft-voiced diplomat waved a jeweled hand. Do not waste words. They will obey. They all obey. The chamber echoed with confidence. The Council was certain. Earth would break like all the rest. But not everyone agreed. An old alien, older than the others, leaned forward in his chair. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise. You laugh too quickly, he warned. Humans are not like the others. They fight wars even when peace is possible. They risk everything for pride. They may surprise you. His warning was ignored. No world had ever refused tribute. No world had dared. Humanity, the Council believed, was no different. On Earth, the message fell like a storm. Leaders gathered in secret rooms. Soldiers listened in barracks. Scientists stared at the stars in silence. The demand was impossible to ignore. Tribute meant slavery. Refusal meant war. People argued, leaders debated, and still the words of the Council rang like a hammer, pay tribute or burn. Across the world, fear spread, but anger grew as well. Farmers, workers, soldiers, and children, all felt the weight of the demand. No nation was spared. For the first time in history, humanity faced not each other, but something greater. The choice was not between country and country. It was between Earth and the stars. And far above, in the shining halls of the Galactic Council, the rulers of countless worlds leaned back in their thrones, certain that their will would be done. They waited for Earth's reply. To them, it was only a formality. They believed the humans would submit, like all the rest. But in the silence before the answer, in the quiet moments when the Council thought themselves safe, something began to stir on Earth. Something the galaxy had never faced before. The demand had been made. The order was clear. But the reply would change everything. The Galactic Council chamber was a place of pride, carved from crystal that shone with the light of distant stars. The rulers of many worlds sat on high seats, their robes glittering with jewels, their eyes filled with cold certainty. They had sent their demand to Earth, and now they waited. In their minds, there was no doubt about what would happen. Earth would kneel. Earth would pay. It always happened this way. On the wide floor below, servants carried messages, reports, and whispers from across the galaxy. They spoke of the human reaction, but none of it seemed to matter. The council was confident, almost careless. They had seen this play before, on 100 other worlds. "They will break quickly," said the scaled warlord from the Rithik, his claws tapping the stone table. "They have no fleets. They have no armies that can stand against ours. Their planet is soft, and their people are weak." His voice carried like thunder, and many in the chamber nodded. Another counselor, tall and thin with a neck like a tower, flicked his glowing eyes in amusement. "Humans are not united," he said. "They fight among themselves for land, for wealth, for power. How can they stand against us? They will fight each other before they ever think to fight the council." A soft laugh spread around the chamber. To them, humanity was nothing but a noisy species trapped on a small world. They believed fear would chain them, and tribute would silence them. It had worked every time before. The jeweled diplomat, her skin glowing with shifting colors, leaned back and smiled. "We should not even waste our time debating," she said. "The humans will kneel. They will send their gold, their machines, their young. Soon they will call us masters, as all the others do." But one voice cut through the laughter. It was the old one, the voice of the elder who had lived longer than most species survived. His skin was gray, his eyes sunken, but his mind was sharp. He leaned forward, his long fingers clasped together. "You forget too quickly," he said in a low tone. "Humans are not like others. I have studied them. They fight wars even when peace is possible. They destroy themselves, yet rise again stronger. They dream of the stars, yet their hands are always ready for battle. Be careful with them." His words filled the chamber with a short silence. Some looked at him with respect, but most dismissed him with a wave of the hand. The council had ruled too long to fear a small and young species. The silence broke, and the chamber once again filled with voices of arrogance. They remembered the tribute of other worlds, the gold mines of Talak, the slave ships from the Onari, the endless resources from dozens of conquered planets. No one had ever dared to say no. No one had ever stood against the council. Earth would not be the first. Reports continued to flow in. Spies whispered that humans were angry, but the council laughed. Anger was common. Fear would soon drown it. A messenger bowed low, his voice trembling as he read from a data slate. "Reports show human leaders are divided. Some call for surrender, some for resistance, and many are silent. The people are restless, but there is no sign of unity." The chamber roared with approval. "See!" shouted the scaled warlord. "They cannot even agree among themselves. They will fight each other until nothing is left. Then they will crawl to us and beg for mercy." "They will kneel," agreed the jeweled diplomat. "It is only a matter of time." Yet, while the council spoke of victory, far across the stars something different was happening. On Earth, the people were not breaking. They were not surrendering. They were thinking, planning, waiting. But the council did not see this. Their pride blinded them. They believed their power was eternal, their rule unshakable. In their minds, Earth's answer was already written: submission. And so they continued with their debates, some demanding immediate tribute ships, others arguing for punishment, still others mocking the humans with cruel jokes. The chamber filled with laughter again, echoing through the crystal walls. To them, this was already over. But the old one, the elder who had seen empires rise and fall, closed his eyes and whispered words no one heard. "The fire has not yet begun." Outside the chamber, in the silent halls of the council, the stars shone coldly. Beyond them, on the small blue world called Earth, Leaders argued, people listened, and something unseen began to stir. The council waited for Earth's reply with confidence, but confidence can be a weakness. They thought humanity would kneel. They thought Earth would bend. They thought they understood. They were wrong. The word that was coming would shatter their pride. The word that was coming would echo across the stars. And when it arrived, the chamber of the council would never be the same again. On Earth, the message of the Galactic Council spread like wildfire. It crossed borders, languages, and oceans in a single day. No nation was untouched. In small villages and great cities alike, people stopped to listen as screens, radios, and satellites repeated the same words: pay tribute or burn. At first there was silence. Some stared in disbelief, thinking it was a trick or some false broadcast. Others laughed nervously, refusing to believe that voices from the stars had truly spoken. But as governments confirmed the truth, the silence turned to fear. The council was real, its power beyond imagination, and its demand impossible to ignore. In secret chambers leaders gathered. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists argued around long tables. Some voices trembled with caution. We cannot resist. Their fleets will crush us in a single day. If we fight, Earth will be destroyed. Others struck the table with fists, their faces burning with pride. No. If we bow now, we will be slaves forever. Better to fight and die than to kneel. The debate stretched into the night, the air heavy with tension. Across the world people argued too. In homes, schools, factories, and streets, the question was the same: surrender or resist. Old rivalries rose quickly. Nations accused each other of weakness. Some prepared to give in, hoping to save their people. Others swore they would never kneel to alien masters. The council had been right about one thing: humanity was divided. Yet something unexpected began to happen. The more people heard the demand, the more anger grew. Fear was strong, but anger was stronger. Citizens who once distrusted their neighbors now felt the same fire burning in their chests. Farmers, workers, soldiers, and teachers all spoke with the same bitterness. Who are they to demand from us? Who are they to rule us? For the first time in history, humanity faced not each other, but a single enemy beyond the stars. On screens around the world, images of alien rulers spread. People saw the jeweled diplomat laughing at Earth, the scaled warlord boasting of conquest, the thin scholar mocking their divisions. Every word of arrogance became fuel. The streets filled with whispers, then with shouts, and soon with chants. The council had wanted fear, but they had planted something else instead: defiance. In the great halls of power, the arguments reached a breaking point. Some leaders still trembled at the thought of war. If we fight, billions will die. Our weapons cannot match theirs. Our armies cannot reach the stars. Others answered with steady voices: if we surrender, billions will die anyway, only slower. Our children will be slaves, our world a mine for their ships. We will vanish as others before us vanished. There is only one path. The room fell quiet. No one wanted to say it, but everyone knew. Humanity had to answer. Not with gold, not with ships, not with slaves. With a word. A single word that carried the voice of the entire species. Outside the walls of government, ordinary people waited. They waited for their leaders to speak, but in their hearts they already knew what the answer should be. They did not want long speeches. They did not want promises. They wanted one word, simple and strong, a word that could not be twisted or broken. A word that would tell the galaxy what it meant to be human. Messengers rushed between rooms. Military leaders whispered of secret projects, of weapons still hidden in silos and bunkers, of ships not yet launched. Scientists spoke of inventions waiting to be tested, of energy and engines that might surprise even the council. Yet even with these secrets, no one believed victory would be easy. Many doubted victory was possible at all. But still the fire burned. Across every continent, across every culture, voices joined. Humanity was not united by fear. It was united by defiance. In the chambers of power, the leaders at last made their choice. The council would not be paid. No tribute would be sent. No chains would be accepted. Humanity would answer, but it would answer in a way the galaxy had never heard before. A word was chosen, simple and final. It was sent across the stars, carried on beams of light, racing toward the halls of the Galactic Council. As the signal left Earth, silence fell upon the leaders who had spoken it, and silence fell upon the people who had demanded it. The reply was gone, traveling into the dark. Now the world could only wait. Wait for the sound of war, or the shock of fear. The council had demanded tribute. The council had demanded surrender. But humanity had made its decision. Their answer was already on its way, and when it arrived, the galaxy would tremble. The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent when the signal from Earth arrived. The crystal walls glowed faintly as the message was carried into the Great Hall. Dozens of alien leaders leaned forward in their seats, their eyes glittering with curiosity and pride. They had been waiting for this moment, the moment when Earth would kneel. Servants moved quickly, adjusting the great screens that would display the reply. The scaled warlord from the Rithik sat tall, his claws drumming against the table. "At last," he growled. "Now they will beg. Now they will crawl." The jeweled diplomat smiled, her skin shifting in bright colors. "It is always the same. Fear breaks them. Fear always wins." The tall scholar with glowing eyes leaned closer, eager to read the words. "Humans are loud," he said, "but loudness fades into silence when the fire burns too hot. They will give us what we asked." The old elder, gray and quiet, sat apart from the others. His hands were folded, his expression unreadable. He had seen this moment many times on many worlds. He knew what usually followed. Yet something in his heart was uneasy. Something about the humans felt different. The great scream came alive. The council chamber filled with a sharp light, then a single word appeared, simple and clear. The council leaned forward as one, expecting long speeches, pleas for mercy, promises of loyalty. Instead, their voices caught in their throats. There was no speech. There were no excuses. There was only one word. A short, final word written in human language, yet understood by every translator at once. The council stared in silence. The jeweled diplomat's smile froze. The warlord's claws stopped drumming. The scholar's glowing eyes flickered in shock. Whispers spread across the chamber. "Is this real? Is this all they sent?" The word shown on the screen, repeated again and again, carried in every frequency, every signal. The humans had answered, but not as expected. Their answer was simple: "No." The word struck the chamber like a thunderclap. For a moment no one moved. No world had ever dared speak that word to the council. No world had refused tribute so directly. Always there were excuses, bargains, conditions, but never defiance. Never a pure rejection. The jeweled diplomat's voice trembled, her colors shifting in confusion. "This is madness. They cannot mean it. They are only trying to test us." The warlord rose, his scaled body shaking with fury. "They insult us. They dare to defy the council. Their world must be destroyed at once. Burn their cities, scatter their ashes, and let the galaxy see what happens to fools." His roar filled the chamber, but not all joined his fury. Some counselors sat frozen, staring at the word as if it were a weapon. The elder closed his eyes and whispered, "I warned you." The tall scholar shook his head slowly. "It is only a word," he muttered. "Only a word. And yet, why does it feel heavier than an army?" The debate broke like a storm. Some screamed for war. Others argued for caution. The jeweled diplomat insisted the humans must be punished, but her voice carried fear now. The warlord demanded fleets to be launched immediately, yet others held back, remembering the old one's warning. "No," repeated the elder firmly. "Do you not see? This is not a word of weakness. This is not noise. This is a promise. The humans have chosen death before chains. If you strike them, you will awaken something none of you can control. But his warning was drowned in the storm of voices. The chamber filled with rage and fear, pride and doubt. Some feared the humans not for their strength, but for their will. Others laughed bitterly, refusing to believe that one small world could matter. Yet the word lingered. The word echoed. No. It burned into every mind, repeated again and again, a defiance that the council had never known. Messages spread quickly. Across the galaxy, other species heard of Earth's reply. On conquered worlds, slaves whispered the word with trembling lips. On distant colonies oppressed by tribute, rebels spoke it in the dark. No. A word that had never been spoken to the council before. A word that carried hope and danger in equal measure. In the great chamber the debate raged on. But under it all was a silence deeper than sound, a silence in which every ruler, every warrior, every diplomat felt the same question rise in their hearts. What if the humans truly mean it? What if they will not kneel? The warlord demanded fleets. The diplomat demanded punishment. The scholar begged for caution. The elder simply sat in silence, knowing the truth. Something had begun. The galaxy had changed. And though the council still sat in their crystal hall, still surrounded by power and pride, a shadow of fear had entered their hearts. A single word had done what no fleet, no rebellion, no war had ever done before. Humanity had said no. And the stars would never forget it. The chamber of the Galactic Council shook with noise after Earth's reply was shown. The word burned on the great screen, glowing like fire in the silent hall. For a moment the rulers had been frozen, unable to believe their eyes. But now the shock turned into chaos. Voices rose, claws struck the table, wings flared, and lights flickered across jeweled skin. The warlord of the Rithik roared the loudest, his scaled chest heaving as his voice thundered. No one refuses the council. No one defies us. We must send the fleets at once. Destroy them. Burn them until their planet is nothing but ash. His words made the hall tremble, yet others did not join so quickly. The jeweled diplomat, usually calm and mocking, was pale now, her shifting colors dull. They do not understand, she whispered. They cannot understand what they have done. We must remind them. Perhaps one great strike, enough to frighten them into obedience. Frighten them. The warlord spat, his fangs bared. They already spit in our faces. Fear is wasted on creatures who answer us with defiance. Only fire will teach them. But still some remained silent, staring at the screen as if the single word might leap from it and strike them down. The scholar with the long neck leaned forward, his glowing eyes dim. His voice was unsteady, unlike before. It is only 2 letters. 2 sounds. And yet, I feel as though a mountain has been placed upon my chest. This is not how other worlds answered. This is not fear. This is something else. The chamber split into factions. On one side, those who demanded destruction, swift, brutal, final. On the other side, those who hesitated, sensing danger in the humans' boldness. Never before had the council been divided in such a way. The old elder sat in silence until the noise grew unbearable, then raised one thin hand. At once the hall quieted, for even the proudest rulers respected his age. His voice was soft, yet carried through the chamber. I warned you. The humans are not like the others. When they say no, it is not weakness. It is not madness. It is a choice. They have chosen death before chains. If you attack them, you will awaken their true nature. Laughter answered him, cruel and sharp. The warlord slammed his claws on the table again. Old fool. They are ants. They crawl on one small world, blind and fragile. We will crush them, and their word will be nothing but dust. Yet though he spoke with fury, some saw the tremor in his claws, the fire in his eyes that came not only from anger but from fear. Reports began to arrive from across the galaxy. Conquered worlds were stirring. In the slave pits of Onari, whispers spread of Earth's defiance. In the dark mines of Talak, workers repeated the word in secret, their chains rattling with every breath. No. A word so small, yet it spread faster than fire. The counselors listened to the reports, their faces darkening. Fear was not only in the chamber now. It was moving across the galaxy. The jeweled diplomat's voice shook as she spoke again. If others follow their example, our order will crumble. We cannot allow this. Earth must be silenced, not only for us but for the stability of all we rule. Yes, said another, a heavy-bodied merchant ruler whose wealth came from tribute. If one world dares say no, soon another will, and another after that. Our power will be questioned. We cannot permit this poison to spread. The warlord bared his fangs in triumph, thinking the chamber was turning to his side. But still the scholar hesitated. You speak of poison, he said, but what if the poison is hope? Hope is harder to kill than flesh. What if destroying Earth will only make their defiance stronger in the eyes of others? The chamber grew uneasy again. Never before had such fear filled the council's proud hall. They had crushed rebellions, destroyed fleets, burned planets, but never before had one word made them tremble. In the silence, the elder spoke once more. You sit on thrones of crystal and think yourselves eternal. But mark my words. That small blue world has changed the stars tonight. Whether you destroy them or not, the galaxy will remember their defiance. The word they spoke will outlive even you. His voice faded, but his words lingered like shadows. The council resumed its shouting, but now the sound was desperate. Some wanted fleets. Some wanted warnings. Some wanted spies to learn more of Earth's strength. But beneath all the noise, fear coiled like a serpent, invisible yet alive. The screen still glowed with the word, repeating again and again as if the humans wanted the galaxy to hear it without end. No. Simple. Final. The chamber could not erase it, no matter how loudly they argued. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere on a small planet of oceans and mountains, a species had chosen its answer. And in the great halls of the council, for the first time in living memory, rulers who had never known fear felt their hearts grow heavy. Humanity had spoken, and their voices shook. On Earth the one-word reply had been sent, but the story did not end there. If anything, it had only begun. Across the planet the people waited, knowing the council would not stay silent after such defiance. Yet instead of fear breaking them, the silence of waiting pulled them together. For the first time in history, nations that once stood apart began to move as one. Old enemies sat at the same tables. Leaders who once mistrusted each other shook hands. The threat from the stars was greater than any quarrel on Earth, and humanity knew this was a battle for survival. In cities and villages, in mountains and deserts, people worked with urgency. Soldiers drilled day and night. Engineers built machines in hidden factories. Scientists rushed into secret labs where plans long abandoned were taken out and dusted off. Some whispered of projects too dangerous to test before, weapons that could bend light or tear through armor. Now there was no more hesitation. Everything was needed. Everything was allowed. Ordinary people joined in too. Farmers gave food to armies. Miners dug deeper for the metals that would shape weapons. Children drew pictures of ships with Earth's flag flying high. For once, humanity felt united not by fear, but by a shared purpose. Across every continent the same words were spoken, we will not kneel. In hidden bunkers generals met with scientists, their voices low but steady. The council will come. They will bring fleets larger than anything we have seen. We cannot match them ship for ship. But we do not need to. We must strike where they do not expect. Plans were made in secret. Fleets were built in silence. Satellites were armed, stations reinforced, and weapons never spoken of in public were raised from deep underground. Rumors spread among the people of Earth's hidden strength. Some whispered that scientists had discovered ways to blind enemy sensors. Others claimed there were engines that could outpace even alien ships. Whether true or not, the rumors gave hope. Hope kept people strong. Across the oceans, navies sailed together. Armies trained as if borders no longer existed. For once, soldiers did not wear the flags of single nations but of Earth itself. The world was preparing for war not as divided lands, but as one home. Still, fear lingered. Families hugged each other tightly, knowing battles might soon reach their cities. Mothers and fathers looked at the night sky with worry, wondering if fire would fall from above. Yet, even in fear there was pride. Better to face destruction with dignity than to live forever as slaves. In dark rooms far below the surface, scientists tested weapons that hummed with strange energy. Old rockets were remade with new guidance. Small ships were turned into weapons of speed and surprise. Humanity could not match the Council's numbers, but they had something the Council underestimated: creativity. Every failed experiment was rebuilt in a new way. Every obstacle was turned into a weapon. The Council believed Earth weak because it lacked unity. Now unity was stronger than ever. The Council believed Earth poor because it lacked fleets. Now the people built fleets from every scrap they could find. The Council believed Earth cowardly because it had no empire. Now Earth proved courage with a single word: no. In homes across the world, people repeated that word as if it were a shield. Soldiers painted it on armor. Workers carved it into steel. Pilots wrote it on their ships. The word itself became a weapon, a reminder of why they fought. Humanity did not wait only for the Council to strike. They prepared their own plans, their own traps, their own blows. Leaders sent messages in secret to other enslaved worlds, short and simple: Earth has said no. Others began to whisper back, their voices faint but growing. The spark had been lit, and it could spread like fire. The Council did not yet know how deep this fire would burn. On Earth, the preparations continued without rest. Factories never slept. Armies never paused. Eyes never left the skies. And though no one could predict how the war would end, one thing was clear to all. Humanity had chosen its path. They had chosen to stand, not bow. They had chosen to fight, not surrender. And as the people of Earth looked up at the stars, they no longer saw unreachable lights. They saw enemies waiting, challenges to be faced, and perhaps one day, victories to be won. The Council had demanded tribute. Humanity had refused. Now the world was readying itself for the storm to come. The word had been spoken. The choice had been made. And the stand of humanity would shake the stars. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was never meant to know fear, yet fear now filled every corner of its shining crystal walls. The word from Earth still burned in their minds, simple and final, a word no world had ever dared to speak before: no. It echoed through their halls like thunder, refusing to fade, refusing to be ignored. The rulers of countless species sat in silence, their pride cracked, their confidence shaken. For ages they had believed themselves eternal, their power unchallenged. But now they faced something they had never imagined: a world that would not kneel. The warlord of the Rithik still roared for war, demanding fleets and fire. His scaled claws slashed at the air as he promised destruction. Yet beneath his rage was unease, a shadow in his eyes he could not hide. The jeweled diplomat, once bright and mocking, was pale, her shifting colors dim. "If they do not break," she whispered, "others will rise. If this word spreads, our order will crumble." Her voice trembled, not with anger but with fear. The tall scholar, glowing eyes dull, spoke carefully. "We thought them divided. We thought them weak. Yet one word has united them. That alone should frighten us." The chamber filled again with argument, but the voices were no longer steady. Some still demanded Earth's destruction, but others feared that fire would only make them stronger. For the first time in memory, the Council was divided not by greed or pride, but by doubt. The old elder sat quietly, his gray hands folded, his voice calm as he finally spoke. "I told you this would come. You believed no one would ever resist. You believed fear was enough. But humans are not ruled by fear. They are ruled by something deeper. They will not give in even if they die. That is what makes them dangerous. His words struck the chamber harder than the warlord's roars. None wished to admit it, but in their hearts they knew the truth. Humanity was small, young, and fragile, yet their defiance had shaken the galaxy more than any fleet or weapon. Reports arrived one after another, and with each one the council's unease grew. Across conquered worlds whispers spread. Slaves repeated Earth's reply in dark tunnels. Miners carved the word into stone. Soldiers forced to fight for the council spoke it under their breath. No. It was more than a word now. It was a spark, a seed, a fire that could not be put out. The councillors shifted in their seats, their jeweled robes heavy, their crowns of authority suddenly feeling fragile. If Earth's defiance spread, their empire of tribute could collapse. No fleet was large enough to crush every spark at once. The galaxy was too vast, and hope traveled faster than ships. The warlord pounded the table again. Then we must make an example of them. Strike them with fire so great no one will ever dare follow. Burn their world until nothing is left. But even as he spoke, doubt trembled in his voice. He had fought many battles, crushed many armies, yet he knew in his heart that destroying Earth might not kill their defiance. It might only give it to others. The jeweled diplomat shook her head slowly. We rule with fear. If fear no longer binds them, what will? Her words left the hall in silence. For the first time the rulers of the council realized they had no answer. They had built an empire on obedience, on the belief that no one would ever say no. But humanity had said it, and now the galaxy listened. The elder's voice rose once more, soft but clear. You do not face an army. You do not face a rebellion. You face an idea, and ideas cannot be burned. They cannot be chained. They cannot be silenced. They live in the hearts of those who believe. And already, too many believe. The chamber fell into shadow as the truth sank in. Their power was not shattered by weapons or ships, but by a single word from a single world. Pride had blinded them. Arrogance had weakened them. And humanity had done what no empire before had dared. Outside the crystal walls, the stars shone cold and endless. Somewhere among them a small blue planet prepared for war, not with fear but with unity, not with chains but with courage. The council sat in their thrones, heavy with jewels, yet none felt strong. They felt something new, something unwelcome, something they had forced upon countless others but never known themselves. They felt afraid. In their silence one truth remained clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had spoken, and their defiance had shattered the council.